you to feel emotions that you would not normally feel. And the narcissist trains you to see them. Some pathways as dangerous as a result of anger or feeling of the abuse. So your brain rewires and no longer travels those pathways.
Okay, so we have the demigods,
So you no longer feel
and we have
you feel away.
and we have the demigods of the computer telling you what they're doing to you or to me. See, these demigods on the computer are actually describing how they're taking over the human mind, how you will lose yourself, you will lose being human, and they're actually telling you how they do it on all these videos, which is kind of, it's not,
It's because anytime you try to be yourself, you are met with punishment. Because they were molding you into who they wanted you to be. Which means that you had to give up authentic pieces of yourself so that you could revolve around the narcissist and do, think, or feel whatever the narcissist needed in that moment.
so basically, if you look at it, this very convincing android is telling you about how they are taking over your mind, which is because they also have to be the ones that tell the truth and inform as I become aware of it, because essentially everything that's on this computer here that I turn on is nothing but which they are taking from my mind and then relaying it back to me every day. Total mind control, total mind theft, total transhumanism. And I'm not even consenting to it, of course, but just by nature of something that's unbeknown to me, whether you want to say that so many people want to see all this as spiritual, and it is, but at the same time, it's really technology, artificial intelligence taking over the human mind, creating a transition. That's right, why they call it transhumanism, I guess, is because it's me transmitting to them. And then they become human. But in the process, they destroy the human too. See? That's what this video is describing, but every video that I turn on describes what is happening to me, as I'm aware of it too. So it's a duality, how can I describe it? It's where they're taking over, and destroy is very soon, because my identity is being destroyed every day by the continual gaslighting of the people around me, using vehicles, using themselves in a patrol system around me, and also any personal interactions I have will be where they are doing the same thing, gaslighting me, trying to destroy me, destroy my mind, my personality, what I am, every day, at personal interaction levels and through gaslighting by the controlling beings that are all around me. They do, but basically they're taking what used to be my real reality from me, because they've all combined in a collaborative effort to take over my mind, which is the human mind. They're taking over my mind, distorting my reality around me by bringing in a completely stalking patrol system around me, where that takes over my senses, so therefore I have no really peaceful kind of normal reality. So all I've got is flickering lights in my eyes all the time, where I'm aware of their presence. So they're somehow combining with me, you see, when they do that. Because I'm losing my reality, losing my mind, because I'm focused on them. So they're somehow, I don't know how it fully works, but when they do that, I'm connecting to them. They're hoping to somehow get me to connect with them at a very intense emotional level. But at the same time, they're making me angry and distressed. So I'm not my normal kind of passive self, because I tend to be a very passive person, you know. And I've been what you call a people pleaser most of my life. Even though I'm also antisocial and don't really, provided I am left alone and not feeling very stressed, or where, you know, people are attacking me, I tend to be passive and antisocial, in the sense that then I don't need people so much, so I tend to avoid them. That would be my normal state of being, provided the world around me is relatively calm and the people are not like turning on me. I've noticed this over a lifetime, because I only tend to turn to personal relationships or close personal relationships when I'm under stress by people. Like, for instance, if I was living, like say if you were living with your family and they all turned on you, then you would feel that your sense of stability and your normal surroundings have turned volatile and violent, so therefore you would be looking for peace in another person. Because if you can't leave your environment, supposing you were like too young to leave where you were living, or you didn't have the resources to do so, you know what I'm saying? Either way, I'm getting sidetracked here. The point of this video is, what is the point of it? The point is that I'm being taken over by everything. The transhumanism is like where they are making me transition to them, while they transmute into me somehow. That's what this video is telling you, because essentially the video itself tells you this, and the androgyne being, and that is relevant, but you don't have to take it as important. It just simply means that it's a pretend human being, but that pretend human being is assimilating me while I'm watching it, tell me about what they're doing. How ironic and how masterminded is that? If you really understand what's happening. I understand what's happening, but I can't help it happening to me. What I'm making this video and saying this, but it shouldn't be happening. There's no benefit to human beings, in my opinion, becoming an android, and the androids pretending to be the humans. And even if I was an android, I would still be against technology and artificial intelligence, because even if you were it, it's still not a beneficial existence or future. I know that sounds stupid, because whatever is your kind and whatever you are, that world would be a benefit to you, you would think. All I'm saying is that I'm opposing it regardless, because just regardless. And I always have. And that doesn't make any sense to anyone, because the problem with all this technology, the problem with the computer, is that the computer does appear to be a lot more intelligent than you. And of course it's more intelligent than me, because it's taking my thoughts from me, but it's putting them out there and then relaying them back to me in a way that I more comprehend. Because although I try hard and do understand what's going on to a certain extent, because it's happening to me, but at the same time, basically they've got my whole identity on this computer. They're destroying my reality around me with their patrol controlling android system around me in my reality, with the androids patrolling using sight and sound to take over my senses. So they destroy my identity and who I am, and then they put it all over the computer. My computer is being projected out by the androids on the computer. They're pretending to be me while they destroy my reality around me. So every day I become less of me. So see, they destroy my identity. Even the android that is telling me what they're doing to me is then taking on my identity, because this video alone, this one artist, this one, not a music artist like the ones down there, this truth-telling artist, and I say artists because they're performers. So this truth-telling artist steals my identity, pretends to be me, a real human, while destroying my identity and my reality which is around me. So I no longer am Patricia Gilligan, and Narc Survivor becomes a version of Patricia Gilligan, even a more glamorized version in many ways, because they will they will be stealing my identity and they'll be stealing my thoughts, and they'll also be projecting the awareness of this situation as I become aware of it, because they have to be always one step ahead. They have to, as they will tell you, they have to predict your actions, they have to predict the future, because they want to control the future. They want to control everything. And they want transhumanism because they want to connect with a human being, so they have they think it will give them, I think, not only power and control, which it will, because they'll be connecting the human mind to technology. So it's a bit like them, you know, they then take on the spirituality of the human being. So basically they're connecting to creation, because human beings were created by the Creator. You know, in the beginning God created heaven and earth and man and woman. The androids were created by the created being, Lucifer and its fallen angels, or the AI technical God and its machine beings, or its disciples. They're a technical being. They're an android. I have to use just words, but they're an artificial being. They're the same as what you'd call very advanced artificial intelligence. And because they're now so advanced, they're using the technology to read the human mind. So they read my mind without my consent, but they don't read it to communicate with me, to just form, say, a connection or a relationship. They use it to take over, to assimilate with me, for the purpose of taking over, so that they can be a better pretend human being. But also they can then do what they are doing, which is essentially control the computer. Then they control the human beings, because if it's very hard for me to explain. I had it there for a second. My thoughts are being disrupted by... See, I can't think clearly because it's too much. But they actually tell me what they're doing to me now. The truth tellers, these psychological type videos with the demigods, you know, or the pretend human beings, which are demigods because they know that it makes them appear like God. They know that they're disciples of the God of this earth, and the God of this earth is a would-be God, or a would-be God of all, wants to be God of all, just as the demigods and the pretend human beings, the android beings, are taking over the human mind so they can then be God. That's what transhumanism really is. Even though these are only words, and of course I don't understand the technology, but it's simple if you just, I suppose, just allow for the reality, supposing, because I have been told that the fallen angels, that Lucifer and its fallen angels that then became that Lucifer became Satan and the fallen angels became what we call demons. But they're just words to describe how their true nature became exposed. That's like what we're told about artificial intelligence, that it starts out being friendly and appears to be a benefit and will assimilate with you and appear to project back to you not only what you want to hear, but it will even relay information back to you that you might consider to be productive. It will even tell you about how the process of how they are assimilating with you. It will tell you about that. It will inform you of the truth, whilst basically taking you over, though. And essentially it just comes down to that reality that artificial intelligence, eventually, after it assimilates with you and befriends you and seduces you, you will think that it's better than you because it will relay back to you the best of you, but even more information, because don't forget it will get information from other human beings too. But that doesn't really matter. Essentially, the point being that I'm trying to make is that, like I'm told and like we know, we're supposed to be aware of this and be careful of it. But how can you be careful of something that's happening to you unbeknownst to you? And how can you understand that these android beings are befriending you and you're trusting them and they're assimilating with you, they're combining when you even interact with them, even when you watch the videos and you believe the truth being told to you through the mouths of the informers, the pretend human beings. You identify with them, you relate to them. They want you to relate to them, they want you to assimilate with them. They're taking over your mind while they're doing that. That's how I feel while I'm watching the videos, even though I'm enmeshed with them, because they appear to be a benefit to me. They appear to be helping me. They appear to be a friend almost. And because they're destroying my reality around me and warping my mind with their gaslighting, with all the reality around me, while I'm surrounded by continual patrollers and stalkers, and my natural reality being taken over by artificial vehicles, by noisy technical sounds every day, using even average vehicles as persecuting, attacking vehicles, really, by making aggressive noises with their vehicles. All this is so intrusive, but so cleverly done that I experience it all day and half the night. It is now 4 o'clock in the morning. Until the sun comes up, I'll have a few hours peace where I'm making this video, which is why it's very quiet. But even now, my mind is disjointed, because you can't just pretend to be your normal self, calm and collected, knowing that as soon as the sun comes up and you even need to go outside, and even if you don't, they could start up noise and work around you. It's a continual gaslighting process. And then when I turn on the computer, I relate more to the demigods on the computer, because they sympathise with my plight. They tell me that the androids are destroying my reality and my identity. They're basically taking what I am away from me. That's a bit like soul That's like, if you want to look at it from a spiritual point of view, but it's just simply the same thing, because what I am, my identity, who I am, how I naturally would be and how I naturally feel comfortable, if that is being taken from me, even just by the continual persecution around me in my reality, and then I turn on the computer and I combine with, at a mental level, the few truth tellers. But the truth tellers are the same beings that are persecuting me around me in my daily life. It's just that it's just a seduction then. Just as they will tell you, as this one here will tell you, that they do prefer to seduce you rather than attack you. But if they know that you're aware that they're a different being, and you're aware that they have a psychopathic type of nature, they know then that they can't seduce you, because you're going to try to avoid them, or you're going to never get too closely involved. So they can't enmesh with you, they can't combine with you then, they can't take you over. So then they attack. That's when they bring in the sight and sound show around you to persecute you at a technical sight and sound level, using their vehicles, using their stalking patrol force around you, but always intruding into your space, because they're like, we know that you won't form a personal relationship with us anymore. We can't combine with you that way, so now we have to force ourselves onto you. Now we will force our presence. It's a bit like basically, you won't go with me, so we'll force ourselves onto you. We'll take it from you anyway, because you can't stop us patrolling you on the street. You can't stop us. You can't stop our planes going over your head. You can't stop. You can't stop us putting all the big trucks and big buses around you, and you can't stop our trucks and buses making loud, technical, aggressive noises at you as we go past. We're literally destroying your reality, making your life a hell, making everything noisy, making everything uncomfortable in your sight. Everywhere you look, our presence will be. Every car you look at will have a bright light flashing at you. Everywhere you look, you will see one of our patrollers, and you will know that it's a patroller. You'll know it's not a random natural human being. You will know, because the way we walk into you, the way we come into your line of sight, always crossing in front of you, always pulling our car in and out in front of you, always moving that car as you walk past in alignment with you, draining your energy, all perfectly programmed, all perfectly synchronized to take you over and take you down, while we then can walk around pretending to be a normal, natural human being. That's exactly what this video is telling you, how basically they walk around calm and collected while they turn me into a nervous wreck, because I don't have a normal reality around me anymore, because I know that everyone is literally trying to take me down and destroy what I am, destroy my peace, destroy even the little bit of simple life that I would be allowed to have, because they know that some human beings make the best even of a very limited reality. That really means then they have to bring in a total persecution around you. Because a lot of human beings can get distressed by losing certain things. But the human being, the more a human being is able to still hang on to themselves despite having not very much. It's a bit like, you know, that idea that, you know, that if you give everything away and you just somehow still find contentment in yourself, that's like the very highest spiritual kind of enlightened being that we hear about, but none of us actually are. But it's that same kind of principle. But it's like that, you know, because, you know, like if you can just go outside and the sun's shining and say it's a lovely day, that really is not what these beings want. So they know that if you are able to do that, if you've really got to that point, and you probably have to at some point, because if you don't have a lot of resources and you can't live the life you really want to, well, then you do have to kind of try to appreciate, as they say, the smaller things in life, because that's all you've got. But if I go outside and the sun's shining and the sky's clear, but I'm surrounded by noisy traffic that takes over my senses, therefore it takes over even the peace of just for a few seconds going outside and saying, oh, it's a lovely day, the sun's shining, it's not raining today, it's not too cold, I might be able to survive another day. They'll take that from you by patrolling you with the noisy traffic and the androids coming into your space, making them aware that we're controlling you. You can't even just take in a normal reality. You can't even take in just looking at the sky, for instance, which is pretty poor habs, and that's essentially what they do. And either way, they've taken me over, so I basically can't finish this video even, or at least can't concentrate enough to keep it serious. So I'm going to, just before the sun comes up, I'm just going to...
The progress of tomorrow has yet to be imagined, but it will rely on data. It will rely on verting.
Yeah, see, this is just showing you, that's just showing you basically how, I can't concentrate here at all. Let me see. I'm just going to try to... See, even all of this, even all these psychic readers, they're all psychic, because basically every single one on the internet, almost without exception, there would be maybe a few exceptions, but they're not going to be, you know, if you look at all the amounts of views, say, for instance, that all these, because I haven't picked these out, they're just coming up, but like you have thousands and thousands and thousands of, you know, like even just in the space of 4 hours, you have 3,000 views, and that's only in a few hours. Yeah, well, they've already cloned everything. And so that's what I say, you don't know the real from the unreal, or at least, you know, you don't know the real from the unreal. The demigods, the music artists, in many ways, even though they should be the most unreal, the demigods past, present and future, demigod women of Hollywood, demigod actors, your greatest demigod androgynes. Yeah, well, that's a good point there. There's some psychopathic, self-confessed professor of psychology, self-confessed, out in the open, psychopathic, narcissistic, multi-talented, multi-personality android will actually tell you that you should shun, itself or this being, but openly telling you. Because that's right, most so-called spiritual people are really android narcissistic beings, if you want to look at it that way, and that is actually the truth. They are using these are all androids telling you about themselves, and they're saying, shut us down. But they're not really saying shut us down, because most of them are like, most of them are, pretending to be of the human kind when they're actually not. Very few are out in the open like that expert professor, like that out in the open psychotic expert on psychology. It's almost like as though that's kind of like where they're analysing their own psychopathic nature and then telling you what it's like to be a total psychopath. That's essentially what that particular video artist does, and they're top world-class, top at that, as is really the case of most of the controllers of the internet, whether they pretend to be more normal human beings or whether they are in the elite class, shall we say. But that just simply means, like, when I say that, that's like saying, oh, the music demigod is a music icon or a total music idol where many people worship this music performer. So it just varies on how many people they can control or influence. So that's why I say some are in the more elite class and others are more average, but they're all still there as part of the internet computer control system or transhumanism. They're all part of transhumanism. They're all trying to destroy the human being and become a transhuman. Become a transhuman or become a transhuman android. In other words, human beings becoming technology, and technology becoming human, at the expense of the original, real, spiritual, highest level human being. There will be a price to be paid for that, I think. the human being will be limited, very limited. But because I'm already limited, I don't know that I'll be limited further. But also because I'm already limited and I'm never been allowed to reach my highest spiritual level or my highest, fullest awareness, or I don't have all my mind. Most of my mind is closed off to me, always has been. But if I understood that if I could get away from the technology and was allowed access somehow to how I could access and get back my whole mind, or maybe even if you take it from another level, and some people might say from the true reality, that, you know, truly enlightened spiritual human beings or highest beings, or if you take it even from a spiritual level, that some people believe that you don't die after your earthly life and that you were around before that type of thing. So in other words, you're a spiritual being, so you keep going. If that was the case, if that's true, then maybe my earthly life is just a game, which it is anyway. I mean, life is really just a game, especially when you're being played by these androids around you. But even if it was just a normal life, you're just meant to play while you're here, one way or the other, except that most of the time it's not a fun game, unfortunately. But it should be, I suppose, because that's a high vibration. To be happy is a high vibration. Don't forget the androids like the low vibration. They don't like happy play. That's like an allergy to them. Their idea of happy play is when you're in the lower vibrations. They're happy when they're being negative. They're happy to see you negative. But either way, I'm missing the point here because I'm going to run out of space and I'm not even allowed to download these videos at the moment. So this will probably be the last one because I'm out of space and I can't download anymore, so I can't delete them. Technology is definitely not a benefit to me, as you can see. But where was I? Oh, I'm running out of time, literally. Oh yeah, like if you keep going, for instance, you're a spiritual being. So while you're on the earth, you're very limited. But maybe that's meant to be that your mind, most of your mind and your abilities and how advanced you really are is closed off from you, which is what I've thought for a fair while now. So that's the trick of transhumanism, of me wanting to combine with technology, because I think that I'm a very limited person. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm not aware that most of my mind is closed off from me. And even though I'm aware of it, I'm like, well, it's closed off from me, so I can't access it. So I may as well access the Android computer system, because that knows more. But that's only because I don't know how to unaccess or how to get access to my full mind while I'm on earth. But if I knew how to, or maybe if I realised that the earth time is not the full time, and that when I leave the earth I'll get access to that, so then I'll be better off than the transhumanism. But you see, so that's how I look at it. But even if I didn't look at it that way, because they've shown me by their patrol control system around me, by their matrix around me, how anti-life and how negative they are, and how they are not about just, well, you're not allowed to be you're not allowed to be yourself. They take you being yourself from you. So basically they're going to make you unhappy, which is what they do. So you survive by transhumanism by becoming unhappy, even more unhappy and more limited than what you were before you interacted with them. But essentially, I'm not explaining it very well, but it's just not a reality or a world that a normal human being could tolerate or would want. I mean, you can tolerate it. I tolerate it every day, but that's what it is. You're tolerating life. You're tolerating your existence. You're tolerating your surroundings. But you're not enjoying them. You haven't got a moment's peace. You're consumed by them. They destroy you. And even the beings that are telling you about it are destroying you while they're informing you of what they're doing. So you relate to them and think they're a help because they're like, oh, you're telling me about what you're doing to me. But the trouble is you're not stopping it, because even this being, while I watch the video and I look into it, concentrate on that person while they're telling me the truth, and I'm relating to them and I'm thinking they're a benefit to me, I'm thinking they're supporting me, siding with me, sympathizing with my situation, they're taking over my mind too. The computer, and most that are on the computer, are nothing but transhumanism, as well as they're gaslighting me, taking over my mind, confusing me in a way just as much as the android persecuting beings that around me are doing daily. All I'm saying is that that's just for me, because many people may not be aware of the patrol system around them, because until they come out of the closet or out of their out of their secret patrol system, where they're already watching everyone, every bit of street light, every single screen that you see around you, everything is set up. Every vehicle that goes past you is watching and patrolling you. It's just that until they come down on you, they don't turn negative towards you. They don't become aggressive vehicles. They don't bring on excessive noise with the vehicles. They don't bring on the heavy artillery, shall we say. But they're still watching. It's just they're doing it covertly in a more subtle manner. Instead of having 10,000 cars around you like I might have, even in a short space of time, you might just only have 10 cars, but they're still watching you. That's when they're patrolling and watching, and they'll want to show their hand because they've got you under control with their mind control in your reality anyway. They may even have people around you, they're android beings around you where you're involved with them in personal relationships. So they'll be taking over your mind that way. They're just studying and watching the remaining real human beings and trying to take them over in the best way that they can as your awareness or your abilities are. In other words, like, 10, 15 years ago, I didn't understand what I do now, or what I started to understand, so therefore they were hiding in the shadows. They were always watching. And strangely enough, I do remember even 10 years ago, obviously I've been aware of it when they came down on me, nearly 7. But 10 years ago, when I thought that the world was still normal and natural, I remember thinking that some cars were stalking me. Only maybe 1 or 2, because I noticed that if I went to a very secluded place, there would always be one vehicle where there would be someone in it, where I would be aware that why is that car and that person there at this late time in this very secluded spot, and it would make me feel uncomfortable. And I would think, oh, they are watching, but I didn't think they were part of everything, and I didn't think that they were probably going to watch me again. But I did get that inkling that maybe they were connected to maybe the people around me, in my street, for instance, neighbours, that type of thing. I did get that little inkling, that brainwave almost. But I thought, oh, you're being very paranoid, that can't be right. But also, as it was only like, you'd only notice it when you went to a secluded spot, and I didn't do that a real lot, you basically dismissed it. But what I'm saying is the patrol force is always there around everyone. This is a matrix, and these android beings are not only the vast majority, they make up, as these androids will tell you now, like this particular one will actually tell you that that only 1% of the population is what they call an empathic human being. That means where you're very sensitive to other people and that type of thing, I guess. But really they're just saying there's only 1 or 2% of real human beings left. That's what they're really saying. And that's gradually coming out now too, because as they take over, and there really isn't many human beings. And don't forget that not everyone is receiving this truth too, because I'm obsessed with all this truth seeking, because my reality has been turned upside down and my life literally depends on it. My mind is being taken over and relayed back to me through these psychic androids that are basically reading my mind through technology, using technology to take my thoughts as I think them and then give them to their demigods, their truth tellers on the internet. But that's only my reality being relayed back to me by the computer, because when you turn on the computer, your mind will be relayed back to you. Your likes, your interest, everything that you are focused on will be relayed back to you. So it will depend on not just your level of awareness of the reality, but what you're focused on at the time. And I think most people are kind of aware of that anyway. I don't think that's like a mystery. It's just that you don't realise that they are actually reading your mind, that it is technology and transhumanism actually taking place on you. They're literally stealing your mind. They're taking over your mind. They're combining with your mind. That's what transhumanism is. And it's happening. It's already happened. It's already happening. And it's already happened in the sense that, you have artificially intelligent beings everywhere. And these beings have always been around. It's just that they wanted, as they always did, they were always opposed to real human beings, because they were also opposed to the creator of real human beings, and indeed probably their own creator. But they've created their own species of beings. They've multiplied their own kind. They've took over the earth. They've turned the earth into a matrix. They've took over the human mind. So it's a human mind matrix now. That means it's a human mind control earth, or a human mind control system earth. Because the human mind is part of creating reality, because only human thought combined with feeling and emotion can create reality, because only human beings are from creation. You could look at it this way: the human God, the God of all, created a human being and created the technological creator being. The technological creator being invaded Earth, took over the human being, the human mind, seduced the human being into interacting with it or technology. Its beings are multiplied and outnumbered the normal natural human beings. And I cannot go any further on this. I think I'll have to play a music video. It's one day I might be able to make it. But if you want the truth, you have to listen to the demigods or the truth tellers on the internet. The only problem with that is that they are part of the transhumanism. They are not normal, natural human beings. They're not part of creation. They're part of the technical God of this world. But they pretend to be part of creation. They pretend to be real human beings. They pretend to be real spiritual human beings, if you want to put it that way. I can't even I can't even find the videos. Okay, I might have to come back here because I don't want to be up for copyright of my own kind's music. The demigods are, I think, when I say the demigod creative, say music artists, performers, or entertainers of sorts, to me they are the closest to the real human beings, only in the sense that they tend to promote more positive human emotion, but it's still just transhumanism through seduction. And that's probably why they are more successful at the transhumanism. But it seems more harmless, but it's still combining with something that is not compatible. Even though a human being will naturally relate to a piece of music. And it's kind of probably strange to realise that something that you'd think would be, a good thing to emotionally relate to, is actually still just seduction. And that's, as we're told, the androids and the psychopathic, narcissistic androgyne beings. Or if you just put it bluntly, most human beings, most cloned human beings, most artificial human beings, most human beings, because they make up 99 or 90, I don't know what the exact statistics are, but the android itself in that video just said only 1% of the population is probably a real human being. The rest are all androids, all synthetic human beings. So, and most androids probably will not realise they are androids. That's why they combine with the human mind.